Hello again, and welcome back to another one. And today we have a couple of topics to cover, including a recent poll where thousands of fans voted on Eminem's best recent album since 2010, and their reactions and results have been quite surprising, at least from where I stand. And we also have data that revealed just how much radio in the United States did for Eminem in a decade, where he ended up taking the crown of the top-selling male artist, and this data challenges the statement from critics lately, especially in regards to albums like Recovery, where critics often claim that it was radio-friendly and pop. But we'll see how much that holds up against actual facts from the United States in a bit. Before we get started, if you enjoy content like this, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you're new, and find me on social media at etlifestyle_web. Now, starting off with Eminem's best project since the 2010s, on platforms like Metacritic, apart from Revival that's in the 6s, every album since Recovery has been rated an 8 or higher, a far cry from the claim that Eminem hasn't released a good album since The Eminem Show, and his most recent album opened to positive reviews. And I remember a while back when Royce was interviewed by Peter Rosenberg, they talked about the quality of this latest project a bit.
But I thought that M's last album was the best, most complete M album in a minute. What were your thoughts on it?
I say since Recovery. Yep, since Recovery. As far as the way I rank his albums, I would put it, up there.
So I decided to put this to the test to see how fans on this platform rate these albums with the poll, Eminem in the 2010s, what's your favorite? Of course, Music to Be Murdered By released in 2020, but it's only the start of the new decade, so I had to throw it in there to see something. And to my surprise, after over 9,000 votes, it was voted Eminem's best album since 2010, certainly not what I expected. And in reaction to these results, a user states, Music to Be Murdered By A and B are the 2020s, but no surprise they are winning. His best work in recent years, in my opinion. And these results show that Royce, for one, was onto something in that interview. Another user expanded, "You're making me choose between Recovery and Music to Be Murdered By. My God. I'll have to go with Music to Be Murdered By simply out of recency bias. Others, it's too close to call." Kamikaze beating out MMLP2 by 1% was the most surprising in my opinion, and one user even stated, "Imagine not choosing MMLP2, but the votes show otherwise," and on Kamikaze a user expanded on why. Kamikaze, it was the turning point again in M's career after everyone started calling him finished, and my hate towards certain mumble rappers made me love the album, and it was the beginning of the beef with Kelly, which reminded everyone that this man can still end careers. In this case, rap careers, since Kel switched up to punk and unisex nail polish, as we reported recently. But this poll, based on reactions, show that from the perspective of fans in general, it was a tough choice apart from Revival, and some even believe all the albums were fire, literally impossible to choose one, but yeah, all-time favorite song Legacy, MMLP2. Speaking on the 2010s alone, Recovery takes the crown, which leads us to the next segment of this video. In the 2010s, Recovery was the best-selling hip-hop album of the decade, 4th bestseller overall, and one of the most common criticisms of the album was that it had pop and radio-friendly songs. But airplay and radio stats from the United States show just how much Eminem benefited from these so-called radio-friendly songs, and Nielsen's decade-end report for the 2010s reveals that you could argue that Eminem was pretty much blackballed by US radio, similar to the 2000s, when Eminem pointed this out on The Way I Am. Radio won't even play my jam. For the top 40 radio song spins, there was no Eminem song in the top 10, and even in the top 10 rhythmic radio songs, we find Jay-Z and Kanye, J. Cole, Travis Scott, Drake, Kendrick Lamar, who all benefited from radio spins but no Eminem. Same for the top 10 mainstream R&B/hip-hop radio songs, Eminem was nowhere to be found, and in my opinion, one of the major reasons why Eminem fans are hated is because of how they turn up to support him despite the mainstream's push to silence him. Just check out the charts where fans had control. For the song sales charts, Eminem was number 2 despite no appearances in airplay/radio spins charts. For album sales, he was the top male artist and number 3 overall, and for song streams, Eminem was number 3 overall. Using RIAA's formula of an album sale equals 10 song sales equals 1,500 streams, in a decade where the narrative was that Eminem fell off, he added equivalent sales of over 32 million albums sold in the United States in the 2010s with no single song in an airplay or radio chart. Only Drake and Taylor Swift, who appeared in some of these airplay/radio charts, had more equivalent sales using RIAA's formula. Drake at 40 million and Swift at 39 million, and this was coming off the 2000s decade where Eminem was the best-selling artist overall, hence why he remains the best-selling artist of the 21st century. So much for the claim that Eminem was so radio-friendly in the 2010s. But over to you guys, were you aware of this data? Comment below and see you on the next one.